Hi, how's it going? Welcome to my channel. My name is Fiona and I'm a mother of three, a yoga teacher, a breastfeeding supporter and a home educator. So I upload videos all about those topics, and today I want to chat to you about parenting, and in particular a certain type of parenting called attachment parenting. So first of all, I'm just going to describe kind of briefly what attachment parenting is, and then the 7 kind of elements of it, and then why I and my family have kind of chosen that path in our parenting. Please, if you haven't already subscribed, do so now. I'd love if you would subscribe and like this video if you enjoy it, and share it with anyone who you think might find it useful. Thanks a million. So first of all, what is attachment parenting? Well, from the name you can kind of guess. It's about the attachment between the parent and the child and the importance of that attachment. There's many aspects to that, but the main one really is about the connection and the relationship between the parent and the child, and that it is, sacred almost, that it's the most important thing in the parenting. And there are many ways of achieving that, but the term, I suppose, was first coined by William Sears, but really it's actually a very kind of natural way of parenting, and it's something that really we as humans have been doing for millennia. It's just it was never kind of documented. So I suppose there was kind of a distancing from this type of parenting when I suppose children and parents were kind of encouraged to be more separate. You didn't want to spoil the child, stuff like that. But there were many other reasons why that was encouraged, like sanitation was one of them, which is not an issue anymore. So I suppose it's just good to keep that in mind. So basically, attachment parenting is about the attachment between the parent and the child, and about maintaining and nourishing and, making sure that attachment stays at the center of the relationship of the parenting. And I suppose it's about being respectful and empathetic with the child, but also kind of maintaining a balance with your own needs as a parent. So to get on to the 7 kind of, elements of attachment parenting, these are sometimes known as the 7 B's because they start with a B. Okay, so the first one is bonding at birth. We now know there are many, many studies into the importance of this, of the golden hour, like the first hour after your baby is born, and really not just the first hour, but the first days and weeks. And the whole idea is that the mother practices skin to skin with the baby. Now, obviously the dad can do this as well, or whoever the caregiver is can do this. And it's an absolutely lovely thing to do for both the mother, for the child. And it really helps to kind of set up all, so much in the baby, like from the temperature to the heart rate. They can hear the mother's heart beat. They can smell the mother. It's really, really a safe place for the baby when you consider they have been for 9 months in like the nighttime darkness of the womb, warm and safe and secure, to coming out into the bright, cold world where they, it's kind of a big change. So skin to skin really encourages that kind of bonding, but it's so good on so many levels, from like their microbiome up to, just feeling safe and secure in the mother's arms. So carrying on from that, the next one is breastfeeding. Yeah, so you'll know if you've been following me for a while that I'm a supporter of breastfeeding. And this is a huge part of attachment parenting, because breastfeeding just enables and requires really the baby and the mother to be close. And that's a really good thing. I suppose it's built into our nature to need to be close to the parent, because we're so kind of underdeveloped at birth compared to other mammals. We need, we need the parent for that warmth, for food and all the rest of it. Now, breastfeeding on demand is important here as well, because it means that the baby kind of controls their appetite. They're in control of how much they need and how often, and it is quite often at the beginning, and that is normal. Is actually what the baby needs for their tummies are so tiny at the beginning, the size of a blueberry. So you can't feed loads into such a tiny tummy, so it's little and often, and it's very, very digestible. So that's, the whole mechanism of breastfeeding means you have to keep your baby close to you, and so that just is part of the attachment parenting. So breastfeeding is about a relationship as well, and it's a learned relationship between the baby and the mother. So the next B, the third B, is bed sharing, or sometimes known as co-sleeping, where the baby is in the bed with the parent. And this actually makes breastfeeding way easier at night time, because babies need to be fed round the clock. They don't know the difference between night and day when they're tiny, and even when they do start to know the difference between night and day, they still need food around the clock, and it's really normal. Babies wake at night and they need to be fed. So having your baby close to you and like bed sharing safely is a really good option if you're breastfeeding, and obviously it promotes the whole attachment parenting style as well. So that is one that I have done, and have found it just to be really handy, especially at the early days and weeks and months, because it just means you're not getting up constantly to go feed the baby at night, So so it's lovely just knowing your baby's right there. And obviously there are certain things you have to do to make sure your bed is safely, set up for bed sharing. And I will actually link that below because it's really important. But co-sleeping or bed sharing is a huge aspect of attachment parenting. And it just kind of means that they're with you day and night, and I think it's good if you're a first time parent to be especially thinking about, how you're going to parent, and that nighttime is a huge part of that. As I said, babies don't switch off at night. They need to be parented round the clock. So the fourth B is baby wearing. So that's basically just wearing your baby in a sling or baby carrier. This is something I didn't really know too much about before becoming a parent, but it actually was really lovely part of parenting, and it's really just such a handy tool to have, just to be able to put your baby in a sling if they're fussy, or if you want to get up and make a cup of tea, or like that, they're safe. And especially when they're really small, and actually especially when you have another child like a toddler to mind at the same time, having your baby, the baby in the sling, is actually really reassuring, because they're safe, they're with you and they're comfortable, and you can also tend to the needs of your toddler or older child at the same time. So baby wearing is really fun, and you can get really into it and try lots of different types of slings and patterns, and it's a really lovely thing, I think, when you're a new mother and you're not going off buying yourself clothes, because chances are you're changing size and shape and everything, but you can go and buy yourself a really nice sling. So it's a lovely thing to do for yourself, I think, as well as a really handy parenting tool. And it's lovely for your baby as well, because it's they've spent 9 months on the inside, and then they just kind of move out and up and stay in the sling then for however long you want. But they can go on your back as well when they reach a certain age. So it's a really handy parenting tool. I've done a video on baby wearing, and I'm going to link that as well. It's really definitely would recommend baby wearing for any type of parent, but it just kind of goes with the whole attachment style so well. Right, so the 5B is a belief in your baby's cry. Now, I think this is kind of really the core of attachment parenting, because it's being responsive and respectful of your baby. So it's like treating your baby as you would treat your best friend, or someone that you really care about. If they cry, you go and check and make sure you can see if you can help them, you're not going to just leave them. And this is a huge part of attachment parenting, because if your baby cries, they're doing it for a reason and they need you. And often, with attachment parenting, babies kind of cry less because they're usually with you and mostly have their needs met. But so it's just a belief in that cry, and a responsiveness to it is really at the core of being attached to your baby. Number 6, and I guess it's not really something that I've thought about that much, but it's really important in this day and age, when so much being a parent is actually like a marketer's dream. They just can market all these things to sell to you, because of all these insecurities you might have. You just want the best for your baby. So okay, if they say buy this, or you need this course or whatever, beware of baby trainers, because people, as I just said, will prey on your insecurities as a parent, and really training your baby. You can't really train a baby to sleep, I don't think, because a lot of it involves really, really horrible things like crying it out. And I just don't agree with that. And I suppose that's why I agree so much with the attachment parenting styles, because it's just to be aware of that, of these false promises that your baby will just start to sleep through the night if you do X, Y, Z. Obviously, there are things you can do to help, your baby understand it's nighttime and understand that it's time to sleep. But things happen, like illnesses happen, teething happens, developmental leaps happen, you travel, there are a lot of disruptors to a baby's life in the first year. And just trying to just leave them to cry, to get used to not being kind of cared for at night is a lot of what the sleep trainers do. And it's definitely beware of that. And then finally, the last B is balance. So this is really important. It's like balancing your own needs with your baby's needs. And it's hard. It is very hard at the beginning. But as your baby grows and you can explain things to them, and I think it's really important to actually treat them like a human being and like speak to them and be like, mommy needs whatever. I'll get you, can I have this? Can I have that? Yes, after dinner, or yes, after, you're not saying no, you're putting a limit. And I think when you're, this is obviously a little bit of older baby. I think around 18 months is a good time to start putting on those limits. But also, you can obviously earlier than that if you need certain things to be able to do certain things or go certain places, as long as you know that your baby is with a caring adult, and that you have researched and, that you trust the person that they're with. You can explain, even a very young baby, mommy will be back in 2 hours, mommy, stay with your granny or whoever the minder is. So there's things, I think that balance is very important. And I think that's where the father's role can really come in as well. And you can kind of lean on each other, and the dad can take over certain things, and help with that balance in the relationship between the main caregiver and the baby. And I think this style as well can mean that the father can be really involved in what's going on. Like they can baby wear, they can co-sleep. If they're not seeing the baby all day at work or whatever, and then they see them at night, they obviously see them, like they're with them all night. So it's like, it does help with the attachment for dads as well, which is really, really important. Yeah, so they're the 7 B's of attachment parenting. And I just kind of want to explain why I kind of have gone along these lines. So I actually heard about attachment parenting before I became a parent myself. My sister had the book when she had her first child, and I actually read a good bit of it. And to be honest, I was like a bit skeptical when I read it. I was like, really, like all that? Like, is it really all that? But it really sowed a lot of seeds for me, and I'm really, really grateful that I did that. Like that I read the book and that I understood about it, and that I saw, my sister breastfeed and co-sleep and do all those things. Like I suppose I started to research attachment parenting like properly when I was pregnant with my first, and it really helped that my midwife was able to answer loads of questions and give me resources like videos and books and stuff to read to help me kind of come to those conclusions. But I suppose as time went on, I started to live it more and more and understand it more and realize how important it is to maintain that attachment. And I definitely do not regret it for 1 minute. It is a lot of work, but I do think that parenting is a lot of work anyway, as in it's a huge commitment. It's not for everybody, and that's fine too. It just really, really works for us and our family. And I really believe that it's great for the child and for the parent, because the bond that you form, even now with my almost 10-year-old, like it's unbreakable, and it's this knowing, they know you and you know them, and there's 100% trust and respect and confidence. And I think that that's a lovely thing to give a child. And I suppose the naysayers might say, well, we might be spoiling your child, or won't they become too dependent on you? And I actually think the opposite is true. Well, firstly, I believe that you can't give a child too much love. Love is the main thing they need to feel secure and safe and, worthy in life. So that's firstly. And secondly, so if you give someone a lot of support to do something, I feel that will give them the grounding and the confidence in themselves to be like, okay, I can do this. This person believes in me, so I can do it and go out into the world and do it. Do whatever they want, really. They get to decide their own destiny. But having that support of, the people that are most important to them, I feel like having that, 100%, love and care at the beginning of their lives is just going to mean that when it's time for them to, to flee the nest, that they were like, I can do it, because they have that self-belief. So yeah, and there's lots of studies. I'm going to link the studies below and see what you think. I just wanted to share this. I know there's a lot of parents and parents-to-be who, follow this channel, and I just wanted to share this because I think it's really important that, you research and you decide and you try the things that you feel are best for you and your child. So yeah, if you're a new parent, research it and give it a go. And yeah, I hope it really works as well for you as it has for us. That's all I have to say on attachment parenting. Thanks a million for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care.